Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are well and I hope you guys are staying safe. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a pocket to pants or pocket to shorts, and if that's something that you wanted to learn, definitely keep watching. So if you haven't already watched the first part of this video where I show you how to draft a trouser pattern, go ahead and watch it. I also have a video on how to draft a shorts pattern, so if you haven't already seen that one as well, go ahead and catch up. I've put links in the description bar of this video as well as in the iCards above, so you can click on the iCards or on the links in the description bar. The next video you also need to watch is how to make your trousers or how to make wide leg pants. So if you haven't already seen that video, go ahead and watch it. It will help you understand, because in this video I just carry on from where I stop. So first things first, for those of you who have watched the video on how to sew pants, you know that we need to have our pattern, and I already have my pattern in this video, and I've already gone ahead to cut out the front piece, and now I'm cutting out the back piece. So go ahead and pin your pattern onto the fabric that you're using, mark out the sewing allowances where necessary, and then go ahead and cut it out. So by now you should have your front piece already cut out as well as the back piece. As you can see, I'm taking out the pins on the back piece, marking my dart, and then going ahead to pin the center back pieces together. You want to go ahead and mark your dart and then sew the darts after, and then sew the center back as well, just like you do when you're sewing normal pants. Moving on to the front piece, I've slowed it down a little bit so you guys can follow, because this is where we're concerned about today. So the first thing you want to do is you want to have your front piece, and then you want to go ahead and mark 2.5 to 3 inches from the side seam. You want to mark that inwards. So basically you want to mark 2.5 to 3 inches towards the center back area, as you can see. So I started off marking 2.5 inches, and then you want to go ahead and connect it to the hip line. Now when you're connecting into the hip line, you can decide to use a curved line or you can decide to use a slant line. I personally prefer the slant lines, however the curved lines are also very fashionable, so it will depend on you. Last minute I decided to increase mine to 3 inches, so as you can see I've made the amendment, and then I went ahead to draw a slant line connecting it back to the hip line. So whatever you do, whether 2.5 or 3 inches, you want to connect it back to the hip line. Now whichever is convenient for you, you can decide to fold it in if you have a slant line. However, if you have a curved line, it will be difficult to fold it in, so you might need to cut it off, but don't throw away the piece. You're going to keep it because you're going to need it later. After folding the slant line or folding along the slant line, you want to go ahead and pin it in place, which is what I've done now. And then you want to go ahead and mark 1/2 inch sewing allowance along the new slant line. After marking out the new sewing allowance along the slant line, go ahead and cut off the excess as shown. After cutting out the excess, the next thing to do is to introduce the pocket piece. So you want to grab what's left of your fabric, and then you want to fold it into 2, just like I'm doing. So I've gone ahead to grab what's left of my fabric and I'm folding it into 2 so that the wrong side of the fabric is what is outside. Then you want to go ahead and place the fabric underneath the pattern. You want to make sure that whatever fabric you have at least 1 inch or 1.5 inches extending below the hip line. So as you can see, you have my hip line there, and then you can see that some fabric is extending below the hip line. Okay, it's important for it to extend below the hip line depending on how deep you want the pocket to be. So if you want your pocket really deep, you can make it extend close to the crotch. However, I recommend about 1 inch below the hip line. You also want to make sure that the excess of the fabric is towards the crotch area. When you're satisfied with the position, go ahead and pin the fabric into position, and then go ahead and cut it along the slant line that you have around the pocket area. If you notice at the top, I left about 1 inch extra. I didn't cut exactly where the waistline is. That's very intentional. Later you will cut it along those lines. Next, you want to gently fold the fabric over, just like I'm doing right now. So you want to fold it over so that it comes back towards the side seam area. After folding the fabric over, pin it in place so that it doesn't get distorted, and then go ahead and unfold the pattern, or if you cut it away, go ahead and place the pattern piece where it should be, and you can hold it with a paper tape. Now that the pattern is back to normal and it looks like as it would without any pockets, go ahead and mark out the sewing allowance like you would normally. So as you can see, I marked out 1 inch at the side and 1/2 inch around the waist area, and then I went ahead to cut out all the excess. So at this point, we are done cutting out the pocket. The next thing to do is to unpin your pattern piece from your fabric, and then go ahead and mark out the darts if you haven't already. After marking out the darts, you want to go ahead and sew the darts in place, and also like any front pattern where we have the fly in the front, you want to go ahead and sew the crotch area just a little bit. You want to leave space for the zipper allowance and then sew the crotch area. So at this point, I've gone ahead to sew the darts in place, and I've gone ahead to sew the crotch area as it should be, and it's now time for us to fix our pockets. To fix the pocket, you want to place your front piece on the table so that the right side is facing you, and then you want to go ahead and mark the wrong side of your pocket pieces. You want to place the corresponding pocket piece on the trouser piece, making sure the right sides are facing each other, and you want to make sure that the sides correspond. You want to pin it into position as shown, and then you want to mark out the sewing allowance of 1/2 inch and sew it in place along the shape. After sewing the pocket piece to the trouser piece, go ahead and notch it along the seam. This is to allow ease. After doing that, you want to go ahead and top stitch it in place. You want to make sure that you don't lose shape while top stitching, so you basically just want to go ahead and top stitch just like I'm doing right now. After top stitching, here's what it looks like. The next thing to do is to fold the pocket in place just like how it will look, and then you want to go ahead and hold the ends. So again, you gently want to fold the pocket in place so that it looks how it should look, and then you want to hold the ends. When you hold the ends, you want to sew it in place on 1/2 inch sewing allowance while it's folded. After sewing the ends, here's what it looks like. So the next thing to do is to just fix the pocket in position, and you just want to pin it in position. So as you'll see, it'll need some adjustments. It'll need you pinning it down, and it will also need you ironing it flat. If you like, you can top stitch some part of it, but that's absolutely optional. After arranging the pocket as it should be, I always encourage that you top stitch it by 1 inch at the top and by 1 inch at the bottom so that it stays in place. So after top stitching it, here's what it looks like. As you can see, it now holds its course and it doesn't move. So we're going to repeat this whole procedure for the second side so that you can understand it properly. But as you can see, that pocket is now ready. So on the other side, you want to take the pocket piece and place it on the trouser so that the pocket sides correspond and the right sides are facing each other. Again, you want to hold them in place with pins, and then you want to go ahead and sew it on 1/2 inch, making sure to follow the shape of the pocket. After that, you want to go ahead and notch and then go ahead and top stitch. The next thing to do will be to hold the ends of the pocket and sew it together on 1/2 inch so that the pocket is nearly finished. After that, you want to go ahead and arrange your pocket into position, making sure that it's at ease and there's no tension anywhere, and then you want to go ahead and pin it into place. After pinning it into place at the side, you also want to pin it in place at the top, and because you know we have the allowance of 1 inch, we know it will be about 4 inches at the top, so you want to pin it in place at the top as well. And then when you're satisfied with what you have, you want to go ahead and top stitch them into place. Like I said, I'm just showing you guys again. I have gone ahead to do the first one in detail, so this is just like running through it again. After top stitching it, this is what the pockets look like, and as you can see, both pockets are ready to go. Alright guys, so we've come to the very end of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video to the very end. If you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comment section, and if you want a detailed tutorial on how to make a trouser fly, let me know in the comment section as well. Thank you so much guys, and I will see you in my next video next week. If you haven't subscribed, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you don't miss out on the awesome content that I have for you. Bye.